this episode of Mojo's Gaming Journal, we're going to talk about a game I've been playing for a while off and on called Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You've probably seen on my channel previously that I've been playing Origins and Odyssey this past year, pretty much playing the whole trilogy as it's been my main exposure to the Assassin's Creed series, other than the original game all the way back. And you know, I felt like Origins and Odyssey, it's like when Odyssey, when I played it, it one-upped Origins, and I kind of wondered if Valhalla will do the same thing. And so I just wanted to do a video talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla and kind of my experience with it. You know, usually what I'll do about a game when I look it up is I'll look online and just kind of see what people have to say about just a general consensus of it. And I kind of treat that like a hypothesis, and I don't let it really sit in my head. I just kind of want to see if what I experience is kind of like what everyone else does, because with Starfield and Diablo 4, those are kind of like two games that I disagree with the internet quite a lot. And anyway, Valhalla's main consensus is that it's a decent enough game, it's just a bit too long. Because Odyssey, I remember when it first came out, there was a whole lot of complaints about the length of that game. And, you know, it took me 80 hours to get through it. But what's funny is that when I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, my playing time only ended up being 52 hours or so. But the thing about it is that Valhalla felt longer than 52 hours, if that makes sense. And with Odyssey, it was kind of like the inverse of that. Yeah, I sunk 80 something hours to the game, but didn't really feel like it. So I just thought it was an interesting contrast right off the bat, kind of comparing those two. Right now, I'm just going to kind of like let you know what Valhalla does differently. Valhalla got rid of the mercenary system, which I am a fan of. I'm a fan that they got rid of it. I just thought it was just a bit annoying, and I mean, I tried on Odyssey to go all the way through the mercenary system and be on top, but then there was even more to do after that. I was like, well, son of a bitch. So I just thought it was a welcome change, not having to worry about that, and you could basically let your inner Viking fly without having to worry about bounties or repercussions, right? And even right now when I'm playing Mirage, they kind of introduce the fact that you need to be a bit more vigilant, which makes sense if you're having to be an assassin. But remember, Eivor doesn't join the assassins technically in this game, so you know she can be a Viking all she wants. She's not bound to the Assassin's Creed, if that makes sense. So another interesting difference is that the combat, to me, felt better. I think each game the combat got better and better and better, and Valhalla's kind of like the crescendo of all of it. And I just had a fun time being a Viking. I did the sword and shield for a while. I did the dual wielding, and then I did the two-handed axe, and then I went back to sword and shield just because I love doing the parries. Basically, right before they attack, I would just bash my shield and deflect it. It just felt so satisfying. And I used my bow and arrow quite a bit too, but you know, I'm trying to think of what else about the game. The talents, the leveling. Now, Valhalla's leveling system's quite convoluted. It's not technically levels, it's your power level. And basically every time you level up, your power goes up by 2. So let's say your power is 210, you're technically level 105. But I just feel, now that concept I don't mind, but the talent tree was just so tedious. It was divided into different nodes, like one is more melee focused, one's assassin focused, one is bow and arrow focused, and you can weave a unique class all your own. And I just ended up going into the middle and just letting the game spin my points automatically, just because there were so many, and each little node was like, you know, like 2% health increase. Who cares? That's just, I mean, I do care, but it's not really enough to make a difference. It wasn't like the other two games to where your skills and talents required a bit more thought. But let's see. Graphically, a huge step up. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the first game to properly be made for the current generation of consoles, and I feel like it runs very, very well. The footage you're watching is on the Xbox Series S, and that's the quality mode. Now, performance, you can get the game to run at 60 frames, but there's a bit of a graphical sacrifice, right? So it's like if you're playing on the S, I recommend the quality mode because you get that same graphical fidelity. It's just 30 frames. But if you have the Series X, play it on performance mode, because not only do you get the good graphics, you also get the smooth frame rate, which is so cool when it comes to combat. Another key difference is that while Odyssey, you had the open sea to go sail around, kind of like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Assassin's Creed Valhalla takes place in Norway and England, and instead of having the open sea, you have a longboat and you're sailing the river. And along the river, you have different raids you can do to upgrade your settlement, which is also like a new system that came with the game. Another one I really, really enjoyed. I didn't upgrade my settlement all the way, but it was nice, doing the raids, spending the resources. It was like two systems that complemented each other. Like, one of my big narcs on Starfield is that a lot of its different systems need a bit more interconnectivity. But Assassin's Creed, one example is to take a look at the settlements and the raids. They're tied to each other. The rewards for doing the raids go to building up your settlement, which gives you benefits as a player. You might hear my dog whining in the background. He's just grunting. You know how that goes. I got dogs. Anyway, let me think about what else I really enjoyed about the game. Now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is basically the third installment of Layla's journey outside of the Animus in the present day. Basically, the whole story revolves her going to England and visiting a version of Yggdrasil, which is like the great tree. It gets kind of convoluted for me because I was able to follow it though, but I wasn't really privy to the big picture in the previous games, but it was enough to kind of explain the gist. But it was fun just following it, but I think Odyssey was a bit stronger with the modern day stuff kind of bleeding in. But in terms of Valhalla's central story within the Animus, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Basically, you are the brother or sister, depending on what gender you pick, of Sigurd, who is a Viking, and basically you're leaving Norway to conquer England. You're meeting all these kingdoms, pledging yourselves, helping them solve their situations, and getting their allegiance as you go around the map conquering the country. And it was quite neat, but I felt like that game kind of took a bit of a departure from the historical accuracy. Not that it's really a big deal, but it had less connections than I thought. And the cool thing though about Valhalla is that it had different branches. It took a little bit of a dive. You drank a potion and you got to go to Asgard and kind of see the central conflict from when Odin, Loki, and Tyr were all gods and I guess alive is the right word, but you get to see how that conflict led to the present day inside the Animus of Eivor, Sigurd, and Basim. And then you get to see how that ties to Layla's role in the modern day 2020 aspect of the game. So it was neat how it all tied together. I guess I should turn my silence on my phone, right? But I just do this in one take. This is just the beauty of Mojo's Gaming Journal. But I'll tell you guys, it's a neat game. It's been a few days since I played it. I wanted to let it marinate a little bit and just kind of see what sticks out. I think that's the whole point of this, and like what makes Assassin's Creed Valhalla unique. Another game I've been playing recently is God of War Ragnarok. You might think, what are you doing playing two Viking games? Well, Ragnarok is more about being in the gods' time, and Valhalla's like 9th century England. So, two totally different times. But it's kind of cool seeing like how each game interprets like the Norse mythology that fuels both of them. Now, the main criticism of the game is the campaign length. A lot of it feels drawn out a bit, and I do agree, because I feel like Assassin's Creed Valhalla starts off really, really strong. You do the whole sequence in Norway, introducing yourself to the characters and some of the main conflict that drives them and some of the issues they deal with. And then you get introduced to England, you set up your settlement, all goes good. Sigurd meets Basim, who's an actual Hidden One assassin that we're kind of familiar with by now, and all of that's good. And then they follow this lead. There's a basically their version of the Templars, Order of the Ancients. There's a member named Fulke who captures Sigurd, and then like Eivor has to go get him back. But once Sigurd is captured, the game doesn't give you the next story mission. What it makes you do is it makes you go around the map, going to different territories, pledging yourself to them, which basically when you pledge yourself to a territory, you're basically starting a chain of side quests. And they all have their little stories within them. Maybe it's a young man that needs to be a king, and it's kind of like his coming of age, or maybe there's like two brothers and there's conflict, and they're all cool self-contained little stories, but they're basically your equivalent of side quest. And I feel like for what was a great main campaign, I really got stuck on this side stuff. I was engaged with the game. It just took me away from it. I was wanting to know more, but I had to go do 2 or 3 territories before the next story campaign was actually available. The next campaign related to the story. So, I spent probably from November to about now. I'm recording this at the end of January. So, I spent quite a few months off and on just kind of re-engaging with the game little by little. Territory, I'd do a territory, I'd go play something else. I wasn't feeling it. And it's tough. It's like, I know I like this game, but it was just hard staying tuned, because lately I've been kind of the mindset of I like playing the main stories of games and just kind of moving on to the next thing. And the reason why I do that is just because I feel like a lot of these big open world games kind of overstay their welcome, and while I have so many to play, there's no point for me to sit around and do all the side stuff in the worlds that I really don't care about, especially like the Ubisoft games where it's mostly checklist related stuff. Now, if your side quests are quite meaningful, then sure. I think the open world games that stand out for me are the ones that I do want to spend 80 to 100 hours in, just doing everything in there. Few and far between, but that's how you stand yourself out, in my opinion. So, anyway, once I finally got a bit more of the main story exposed, I hit about 60% of the way through it. The game kind of makes you go do, like 4 to 5 more territories, and you have to do the side quest over and over and over. It was just basically what kept me engaged. It wasn't really the story, it was the combat. It was riding my horse around, it was traveling the rivers. That's what kept me playing the game. I was really enjoying those, but the story itself just kind of took a back seat until it was time for the main conflict to come back. And the final 10 hours of the game, well, I wouldn't say 10 hours, the final 5 hours of the game were pretty strong. Seeing the end of Eivor and Sigurd's story, getting to see what would happen once you finish all the territories, seeing what happens when you get all the Order of the Ancients, and I mean, it finally paid off. But I think the main thing they should have done for this game, I don't think it's too late after the fact now, but I think what they should have done is made it to where the main story you can just do itself. Like all these other territory pledges should have been optional. Ideally, you want the people to do them, but I just felt like a lot of people have been yearning for these Assassin's Creed games to kind of scale itself down, and I feel like Valhalla could have been a game to where you offer the best of both worlds. Like, you know, you have a good 30-hour campaign waiting for you if you just want to do that. And then you have another, say, 30 to 40 hours of side content, trying out all these territories, doing all these arcs. You can do them as you please to kind of let the story breathe. And then on top of that, you have all the exploration you can do. Just make it optional. But instead, it felt like you were forced to do these, what felt like side quests to me. And it just kind of made this game really hard to get engaged with. So, but I think the combat in this game, the adventuring, the graphics, just how beautiful it is, a lot of that made Valhalla stand out to me. But I'd say overall, Odyssey was better than Valhalla for me, even though it was a bit long in the tooth too. Of the whole trilogy, though, the more I played Valhalla, the more I appreciated Origins. And knowing what we know now about Mirage, I'm more eager to try that game and see what does Ubisoft consider a condensed game, because that's like the thing of Assassin's Creed Mirage. People wanted a more condensed and straight to the point Assassin's Creed experience like the older games. People get that, and now they're griping about it. So I'll let you know what I think about that in another video. But I just wanted to let you guys know what I thought about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's a fun game. I don't know if I want to rate it or not, but I mean, it's on sale all the time regularly, and $20 or less, you're getting a hell of a deal in this game. Like, there's so much content. I mean, it's over 100 hours if you really want to. Especially if you really like being a Viking and you really dig all the Norse stuff. But I thought it was kind of weird. I guess I should say this after the fact. I thought it was kind of weird that the main character of this game didn't end up becoming an assassin. I don't get that. But, oh well. It's a cool game overall. It's got some neat modes, and a lot of it they added after the fact, it turns out. So it was cool kind of getting on the wiki and researching. It's like, oh, the whole arc with Cassandra they added after the fact. The whole sequence with Basim they added after the fact. And it's wild. So that's pretty much all I got to say about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. As always, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one. Let me know what you think, if you've played it or anything else you think I might miss. Just let me know in the comments. You guys take care. Bye-bye.